You've been sold a lie, and it's holding you back big time. It's easy to get frustrated by slow progress in your practice sessions or by performances that just aren't as good as you'd hoped when you're constantly comparing them to the popular myths about the best in the world, the most successful people. But when you realize how misleading those stories actually are, it will free you up to do the things that you need to do with joy and motivation. Spoiler alert, this is going to involve a lot of failure. So let's dive in and see why that's actually a good thing. Hey friends, Mark Morley-Fletcher here, and I want to start with the popular story about Michelangelo. You've probably heard many times before how he would see a finished sculpture within a block of raw marble, and all he would do is just cut away, chisel away the stone that wasn't part of that vision of his, just leaving him with perfection inside it. And that's a lovely image to have of someone whose vision is just so great that he can see the possibility inside anything and bring it to life just like that. But it's simply not true. If you look at how Michelangelo worked, you will see that 3 out of every 5 statues that he started, he left unfinished because they just weren't good enough. He wasn't finding that thing that he was looking for. So 3 out of 5 times he'd move on to something more promising because the thing he was working on at the time just wasn't going anywhere. So the myth is that he relentlessly created perfection, amazing statues. The reality is that more than half of the sculptures he worked on were failures. So imagine if you can take that same idea and apply it to your music practice, to your music performances. Even if you are one of the greatest artists of all time, like Michelangelo, you should know that you're still not going to have a breakthrough practice session every time. You're still not going to turn up to every performance and expect it to be a masterpiece. That is just not realistic. It's not realistic for some of the greatest in the world. It's not realistic for any of us. So just change your attitude about that. See that some things are going to be failures, as you might put it. And of course, that this is not actually the right term. They're not failures. They are important parts of the road to success. And you simply won't get those masterpieces, those breakthrough practice sessions, and those amazing performances without some of the ones that aren't so good. It's simply not possible to have one without the other. Embrace the whole lot and know in advance that this is going to happen, and that's okay. And if you're finding what I'm sharing here useful, then please click the like button to help this video spread to more people. Thanks. Now, there's lots more stories that I could tell you that illustrate similar points. And hopefully, now that you're aware of this, you will start to notice things like this just popping up in the world around you, since I've kind of put this idea in your mind. But there's one more story I want to share with you here to, well, hammer it home a bit more and to give a slightly different angle on some things. And that is the story of one of my favorite tennis players, Rafael Nadal. Now, the #1 tennis player in the world in any given year will typically still only win 55% of the points they play. So not a lot more than half. But Rafael Nadal, if you look at his record at the French Open, that is one of the most dominant in, just available in sport. He has won 98% of the matches that he's played there. Incredible record. And yet, even like that, he has still won less than 57% of the points that he's played. This was analysis from a while back. It may not be that anymore, but consider that. This is someone, the most dominant player at a single tournament of all time. He wins 98% of the matches and yet less than 57% of all the points he played. So imagine how that feels to him. Here he is, one of the greatest, in total control, and 57% is not far from 50%. It's not far from half and half. To your brain, if you are Rafa, it is going to feel like you are losing pretty much as many points as you win. And yet somehow he is okay with this. He stays positive. He still believes in himself. That's one of those greatest strengths and that makes him the player he is. Believes in himself as being an amazing player, one of the greatest, even as his brain is telling him you're losing half these points. So let's bring this back to music again. It's not just knowing in advance, like Michelangelo, that you'll have failures as well as successes. It's how you deal with those failures in the moment, when you have those little bits that go wrong, and not letting that knock you off course, having that belief still there that it doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't say anything that you are a failure. It's just what happens. You are still a good musician. You've got the ability to do this, just like Rafael Nadal, just like Rafa, that you can have this feeling that things are going wrong all the time and be totally calm and know that this is part of the journey. It's fine, and you still got this. Now, if you want a systematic approach to training this level of self-belief, then check out my Unlock Your Performance course, and I'll put a link in the description below. But even just knowing these stories is going to put you in a good place on the path to just staying positive. And the big takeaway here is that you can't let fear of mistakes or failures put you off. What you've got to do is keep showing up and keep producing the work. So having the practice sessions, giving the performances. And the important understanding is that when you do this, that is the path to success. But when you put more of that stuff out there, it increases the number of failures that you make, as well as the number of breakthrough successes that you have. And you simply can't have one without the other. It's not a case of finding a way. The successful people, the most creative people, they haven't found a way to be successful more of the time in a lot of cases. What's really going on is that they're willing to get out there and have more failures, and that is why they are successful. So hold on to that. Remember the story of Michelangelo. Remember the story of Rafa, and have the courage to get out there, do these things, stay positive, and embrace any failures along the way as a good thing, part of the learning and growing journey. Now, the thing is that as much as understanding these concepts is going to help you adopt the attitudes that you need, there is no faster way to make changes than to find concrete methods of putting these ideas into practice. Now, this video here is going to help you do exactly that by showing you one of the specific techniques that Rafael Nadal used to train his incredible mental strength.